Hello, good evening. Y'all got quiet, so we can start. No, I'm just kidding. We were having some audio issues and just getting things settled, so we'll get going now. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the Wednesday, February 7th, 2024, Chico Unified Special Meeting Workshop. We will start with the flag salute, so please stand for the pledge. Salute pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next on the agenda, we have student reports. I'm going to allow Superintendent Staley to speak on it, but before that, I can already tell we're in for a treat because this group of kiddos know how to project their voices, and that was very impressive. Okay, go ahead.
Well, we indeed are in for a treat. Typically, we do not have student performances at board workshops, but we made an exception because this crew has a play that is starting in just 2 days, right? So we said we're going to give you a chance to use your own multi-purpose room that we take over several Wednesdays a month and practice right in front of our board. So Shawnice, do you want to tell us what we're in for?
Okay. Thank you so much for having us. Is it on? All right. This is our wonderful cast of Mary Poppins Jr. And the musical has been directed and produced by Darren Clark, Hannah Cooper Morgan, Phil Morgan, Trish Morgan, and Crystal Proctor. And they've put in timeless hours. We have a lot of parent support and a lot of people putting in time and energy just out of the kindness of their hearts and because they love music and they love the performing arts. So to bless our students. They're going to be singing us one song. So they've been rehearsing since November, almost daily. And I want to give you a copy of our poster here if you'd like to buy tickets. We have one show February 9th, this Friday at 6:30. Then February 10th, we have our matinee at 1, and then a show at 6. Those are all at PV. So I'll hand this off to you. And then you're up. We hope you enjoyed that. And if you are not available Friday, Saturday at all, but you would like to see a little snippet of it, they are performing for our students tomorrow at 1 o'clock here. So you could sneak in the back and check that out tomorrow if you want to see more. Do you have any questions for our producers and directors or our students?
I mean, I kind of want to just swipe the agenda and let them just do the whole thing. Do the whole thing.
I'm just going to add in there, you guys were so incredibly brave. I didn't see a nervous person out there. I know I could not do it, so thank you so much for putting all your practice time in and coming here and giving us just a little glimpse of it. We really appreciate it. And I think we might have a favor to ask of you.
So yeah, along that line, I have a comment and a question of you guys. First of all, I want to say that you guys essentially, you know, you're kids, you're performers, but you are kids, and this is what really impresses me. You guys project so well. Do you know what? Raise your hand if you know what it means to project. Good, most of you, that's good. Because, man, a lot of times when kids get on stage, you know, they talk so soft. Not you guys. You guys are loud. I can hear every word that you're saying, and you're doing such an awesome job. You guys really have a good sense of what it means to be on stage, so well done you. And then I have a request from you guys. We happen to have a situation up here that you guys might be able to help us with, okay? And that is that we have a very special birthday here tonight. Miss Rebecca, okay, Miss Rebecca, one of our board members, it's her birthday this very day today. Can you believe that? Yeah, she's 37 years old today. And so I thought you guys might be able to help me sing happy birthday to Miss Rebecca. Can you do that for Miss Rebecca? All right, here we go.
You ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Miss Rebecca. Happy birthday to you.
Very good, thank you.
Best part of my day right there. Thank you. Thank you, kids.
That was wonderful. What a treat. Thank you so much.
We do want to thank our families for being here and your support through all this, but we do understand if you don't want to stay for the whole meeting and you want to take your kids home, but you're welcome to stay too. So we'll give you a little bit of time to make that decision. We did have a speaker signed up under student reports.
Yes, I was just saying that I'm having trouble logging into my email. That's okay. Yes. I think we're ready to, also was giving space for the shuffle. Right, so there is a speaker signed up for student reports. It's not necessarily, I think, related to the performance, and so the thought was maybe we see if it would be acceptable to the speaker to speak on item 5.4.3 because we don't have an items from the floor on workshop nights. And 5.4.3 is the draft letter to state leaders regarding student discipline, and I think that the speaker wanted to speak on student behavior concern. So I don't know if we just want to move forward with that, or still give the opportunity for the speaker to speak now, knowing that it's about that item that's later tonight. Yep.
Maybe the person doesn't want to be here the whole evening.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
So I think if they sign to speak there, I think we just let them do it.
Yeah. Yes.
I
This is for, are you Maria? Yes. Yeah, sure. Yep. It sometimes is confusing about how and where and when. It's very understandable. It happens.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me over. As you guys mentioned, my name is Maria Trenda. And first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me here, for being able to share our voices, our concerns, and in behalf of our kiddos. I came for a very specific reason, well, a couple of reasons. Due to the sad situation that happened exactly a week ago with the stabbing downtown, I wanted to address to you guys as a parent, not just as an administrator and running a local preschool. I wanted just to come to you guys and ask, pick your brains and see what are we doing about this for the safety measurements of our students. I put myself in your shoes as administrator. This is a really difficult situation because we're not able to really protect everybody. But at the same time, as a parent, I'm coming to you to see, can we talk about some preventive measurements? I know that the incident didn't happen on site, on campus, but it happened during lunchtime. And that's one big concern that I have. So I just wanted to come and see, as a parent, are we working on some measurements? I know that it's still under investigation, the situation, but I am more preventive approach. So I wanted to come and say, please help. Let's surf through some collaborations. Our daughter, is very, very concerned about school policy and protection of the peers. There was a threat done at the school the next day that the stabbing happened, and it feels like everything was put under the rug. And I was informed of the situation because, again, the rumor went around. So anyways, I just want to express, I want to share my concerns, again, not just as an administrator, but also as a parent of a young woman. Yes.
Where are you an administrator?
I run Mi Escuelita Maya preschool and children's performing arts program. We've been in business for 15 years, and I have 80 students enrolled. And I also am part of subcontractor of the Chico Unified School District. I run the Rosedale, Ballet Folklorico of Rosedale. We actually have come and performed for you guys quite a few times.
My apologies for not remembering you.
No, that's fine.
Thank you for your concerns. As a parent, I absolutely share them. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alrighty, with item number 2 down, we will move on to number 3, which is our consent calendar. Is there an item from consent that anybody would like to pull for further discussion? Alrighty, seeing none, is there a motion?
I move the consent calendar.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Lando and, Member Tennis, and a second by Member Robinson. This is our first vote for the night, so we'll do a voice vote. We'll start with Mr. Tennis.
Tennis, aye.
Conkin, aye.
Dalby, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Lando, aye.
Alrighty, it passes unanimous. I just caught something. Did you catch something that I didn't catch just now? Because I can't pull it up on my computer right now. Was the meetings for the minutes for the last meeting on there? It's not in there? Okay, just making sure, because that would have been something that we would have had to pull. I don't know why I logged into everybody gets to hear my problem right now. I logged into my Chromebook, but now my same login password is not working for my email, and they're supposed to be the same password. I just wanted to see the details. I'll keep trying. Okay, so as long as the minutes were not on the consent, we can move on, I'm sorry. Okay, we're fine. Thank you, Rebecca. Moving on to item 4, is our board workshop topic. This is informational, nutrition services, and local food sourcing. And I will turn it over to Vince.
I'm not sneaking up on anybody. Good evening. Thank you for letting me have the opportunity tonight to talk a little bit about our program. As you have in front of you, the program worksheet, if you go to the, I don't have the ability to turn it. Right arrow. Okay, let's see. There we go. I have some notes on here that I've been making throughout the day. So what do we offer? Our program offers pretty much everything that's out there for our students in some form or capacity. We offer National School Breakfast Program, the lunch program, obviously. We offer after-school snack and supper program. We also offer the summer feeding program. Our program, there's many, many different opportunities for us in how we present our food, how we claim our food, and every program works in a different way, which kind of makes it difficult because you can get, our managers have to know each and every program and all of their rules and regulations. So offer versus serve, we offer food to our students. We don't just tell them this is what you have for the day. So those are the two options that you have through all of the programs that we have. Meal times, again, all the programs are different. So you have one program that says you have to have an hour in between breakfast and lunch. Another one says you have to have 2 hours. So you have to stay on top of which programs, which schools. They operate under different programs, and after-school programs are the same way. So those are just some of the things and how we are, all the programs are intertwined and how we make that happen for our students every single day. One of the things that's going to change for next year is we will become CEP, which is Community Eligibility Provision, which will make all of our schools free, which they are currently, but they'll fall into a different, they've lowered the threshold for schools to be able to qualify for CEP, and so we'll qualify through there, and all of our students will be paid, or will be free for all of our meals again. And the nice thing about that is then those programs should merge together, and we should have a lot more commonalities in the rules and the regulations that we're up against. Be easier for all of our managers at the school sites and all of our employees at the school sites to make sure they got what they need to serve. All right, go to the next one. So, long time ago, I was a chef in country clubs and hotels, and you realize people don't have to come and eat your food. They have an opportunity to go anywhere they want. They don't have to come to the hotel when they're there. They don't have to come to the country club and eat after they play golf or play tennis or do whatever they're going to do. And when I moved over to school food service, one thing that really stood out to me is our students don't have the opportunity to make a decision as to where they go every single day. The high schoolers, sure, they get to go off campus and do that, but our elementary school kids and middle school kids don't have that opportunity. And so it was kind of, 20 years ago, it kind of was, I sat there and went, wow, well, kids go to school, they're told what to do, get on the bus, get in class, sit down, do your homework, run to your next class, do this, and when lunchtime comes, it's supposed to be kind of a free time for them to do. They come to the line and there's one or two options. There's not a lot of choices. So the one time they get the chance to make a decision in their day, I really want to have something to eat, but you don't really have what I want to eat. So that kind of got me thinking on how do I want to approach the program as I became a director in school food service. And coming from the restaurants, you don't change what you do every single day. You're not Italian food one day and American food the next day, Mexican food the next day. It's impossible to do. And so we do all of those things, and we do them very well, but we do them for a long period of time, and we offer them every single day rather than changing our menu every single day and not getting good at what we do. And so as we go through, one of the things that I also was really profound when I first got into my first school food service job was I stand there and every single person knew every single kid's name, and half the time they knew exactly what they wanted to eat, and I just was blown away by that. And it hasn't, I mean, every school that I've ever been in and every single kitchen, they all do the same thing. And what it comes to be is they go to that person that they feel comfortable with, the one that smiles, the one that gives them a high five, the one that recognizes that they're having a bad day and asks a question or does whatever. And it's pretty fun to watch. Like when you work side by side with them, if I have to work as a cafeteria assistant and run a POS and I'm standing next to them, it's really fun just to watch the smiles come up. You know, I'm a different person. They just come up and get the food for me, but they go to that person, and it's just a different interaction, and it happens every single day because they go to that line every day. And I think that's a really cool thing that our program provides. And what I've always professed for them is welcome them every single day. You know their name, whatever their name is. Ask them what they'd like to have. Thank them and ask them to come back again the next day. It's pretty simple, and we have about 15 seconds to have that interaction every single day with them, but it's a pretty amazing interaction a lot of the times with the kids and kids that are having an issue or whatnot. So we do our part, both breakfast and lunch. I think one of the funny things that I always talk about is 45% of our breakfast come from before school, and 55 come from second chance breakfast. And I always thought that was going to mess up our numbers because they eat at 10:30 and then they're going to come back in and they're going to eat again at 11:30 or 12 o'clock and they're not going to be hungry. But breakfast went through the roof and so did lunch. And it just didn't make any sense to me. But I still can't figure it out, but I always think it's interesting. Lunch looks the same. Opportunities, we have lots of options for our students to have every single day. Again, welcome them, ask them to come back. It's important. Smile. Sure, interaction that you have with somebody for the day. So one of the cool things is to watch the numbers grow. And I just went back to 2015-16 and how many breakfasts we served at that point in time and how many we're going to serve through this year. We're going to be close to serving 700,000 breakfasts this year. Current through today, because that number right up there is not right, through today we are at 397,400 breakfasts. And this year we lost 2 schools, which had an impact of, what was the number? Did we have 750 meals a day? Yeah, 750 meals a day, and we've made those meals up with just more meals, increasing our meals. So if you go on to the next one, lunch, same thing. We're going to be close to 1.2 million lunches this year. We're at 636,750 as of today.
Vince,
Yes,
you just said you lost 2 schools. What?
charter schools. So
Oh.
it got to, so for many, many years, Chico Country Day,
Right.
it was so much better for them to be part of our program
Right.
than it was for them to go out because the reimbursement rates were so low. But
Mm-hmm.
now the reimbursement rates actually cover the cost of the food, and it was beneficial for them to go and do their program on their own. And then the other one was Blue Oak. And they're in the same boat. They serve a lot of kids, and they're going to run their program and make money in their program now. So
Do the other charter schools that are on Chico campuses take advantage of our nutrition services? Okay,
Yep.
so Inspire and Sherwood?
yes, and they're included in those numbers. All right, summer meals. It always kind of blows me away. We're from the day we get out of school till a week before we go back to school. We're open at whatever campuses we can be open. Summer is a weird thing because every single year the demographic or the area changes and you qualify different schools based on that. So we don't really have control over which schools. But once CEP happens, then we'll be able to qualify schools, the ones that we want to, not based on the area eligibility. So hopefully those meals will go up at that point. We'll be able to target certain areas and have more of the city covered. After school snack program at 11 sites, serve 750, 800 of those every day. One of the things that we started last year in June is the 530 Food Rescue Coalition. They're the ones who come and get leftover food from us. And they're not, right now they can take anything that has not been put out on the line for students to come and get. Stuff that we have, extra bakery items, items that we may not serve any longer, they will come and take those items from us. But they're working on a program to be able to take some of those meals that we have at the end of the day and get those to people who can use them. And so we've been working with them since June, and we have a meeting with them once a month and go over what we have and how we can get it to them and whatnot. Next page, we have some of the local farms that we've used for, I'm showing through 21, but like Papa Citrus, we've been in business or been in partnership with since 17, Tri Mandarins since 13, Crystal Creamery since 13, Central Milling since 16, Rob Ross since 11, Ramirez Farm since 14, and Pluots since 14. We've been doing business off and on with them for that amount of years, but this is what we've bought from them in the last few years. You'll see that the Central Milling last year and also Rob Ross on the flour has gone down, and also in 22. We just aren't making as many items. It's hard to get folks in the bakery working, and we just don't have the staff to do it. So we're working on, as we'll get to the next page, we're working on a plan to put our energies in another place and be able to increase meals in another way.
What's the definition of local farms that you're using here?
So the state of California, they say when we go out to go bid, California, the whole state of California, when we did ours back in 13, when we decided, it's 200 miles from Chico. And so we go, that's what we're considering in that, when it was important back, I think it was 13, that was what we all agreed on, a 200-mile radius. We do, though, consider, as you look on that next page, we require our grocery bidders to have local being the state of California, which the CDE recognizes as local. So they are required to go, when we ask for apples and we ask for those, they're required to get them local first per the bid contract.
Do you have a list somewhere of like what foods that we have that aren't locally sourced? There's a lot of produce, which is great,
Like
flour and dairy.
Like what type of item? Give me an item and I can give you an example.
Like meat,
No, we do not.
cheese. Cheese is kind of dairy, yeah.
Yeah, so we do get that through Crystal Creamery. Meat, we have not worked with any local farmers with, as far as meat goes.
Eggs?
No, because we don't use raw eggs in that capacity. We get them raw eggs already pre-cracked and ready to use because we use gallons and gallons and
Gotcha.
gallons of them.
And that's not local?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. That wouldn't be local at all.
Well, who
No.
knows where
Yeah,
all of the eggs come
exactly.
from? Probably multiple different
Yes.
places all in one
Yes.
batch, right?
And so that goes back to if we were able to find a egg farmer that was able to put them into containers that were useful for us, because it's so not cost effective to sit and crack hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of eggs, we would absolutely go and source them locally. I just don't know that they offer those. I don't even know who they are. I'd have to do some research on it.
Yeah. Meat's the first thing that comes to mind. Just
Yeah,
curious.
no, I've had one person contact me last year, and we went back and forth, and it just kind of fizzled out, to be honest with you.
For all the produce that's listed, is it always locally sourced? Like on the next, I can go to the next page, but like, for example, broccoli or romaine lettuce, it's listed as, you're locally sourced as in California, but is it always coming from that, or is it like a portion of it, but if we don't have enough, then it comes from other
Correct, yeah.
places? Okay.
And so when we went and I got these numbers, I just contacted my purveyor and said, I need you to go in and itemize it out where it came from, and got the amounts back
Okay.
from them.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? No? All right. Go. Does that one say walk-in? Yeah, it's yellow up there. So we all know that you guys approved the walk-in. We're getting ready to get started on that. It's going to be really, really helpful to have everything in one location. Right now, drivers take things back and forth. The courtyard's not paved. You got rolling carts going back and forth through potholes and forklifts going through potholes, and it's going to be nice to have everything in one place and delivery to one location. You don't have to touch things multiple times. Some of the cool things that I think are going to happen on it, we're going to offset the usage with the solar over the top of our loading area off the back side of it. The new equipment that will go in, obviously be less energy from trying to lower that footprint. The upgrades to the bakery and bringing all this over there along with the new equipment is our ultimate goal is to get back to more scratch cooking. Before the fire, we did an awful lot of scratch cooking. We were pretty well known for it throughout the state. Lots of people contacted us all the time for information on how we were doing it, how we processed the food, what did we do with it, how did we get it to our sites, all those kinds of things. And then when the fire happened, it took a toll on us, and we're at where we are at today. But the goal has always been to get back to that point, and I think starting with the walk-in freezer and getting all that product over to that area is going to help us out tremendously in that goal, getting to that point. One of the things that we also are working on is working on some job descriptions that reflect the needs of our kitchens better. The job description's been around for 30 years, and things have changed, obviously, in 30 years. So we're working on different job titles, not different information in them, but just getting better job titles that people understand what they're doing when they apply for them, and hopefully also create some jobs that will be very specific jobs, for a chef, for line cooks, for those type of positions. Also working on with Pedro, we've been working with Pleasant Valley High School Culinary Arts Program to incorporate our programs together to get the culinary arts kids to work on some projects, some costing of things, because they do lots of costing of recipes, and give them the USDA guidelines so they can go read through the guidelines and see, boom, boom, they can go take the items, they can take a USDA commodity item and then go and process it into something, and then come back to the table with some items to sample, and then go from that process, and give them the opportunity to help us make some things for the high schools, more so for the high schools at that point, like a specialty item that would be on Mondays, and then a specialty item that would be on Tuesdays, and then Wednesdays and Thursdays, and have them be a part of that.
I might be getting ahead or just too far in the future if it hasn't been. I know that there's things that are in the works, but is there potential or opportunity or plans to maybe have the Chico High Farm and Ag program co-collaborate with the PV Culinary Arts program, so that and they can actually be growing food to feed into kind of a mingling of the high schools? I know that that's not always popular, but is that something that's been brought up as an idea, or is it possible, or is it not okay to grow your own food to serve in the schools, which I know can be a
we've
thing?
done that.
Okay.
No, we absolutely, back in like 14, 15, we grew zucchini, yellow squash, cantaloupe, watermelon, tomatoes. We grew all kinds of stuff and for our sites. And then we had some kind of a fungus in the ground, and it took a couple of years to get rid of it. And now we're back. Now they're back to the point of starting to put stuff back in the ground. So yeah, I'm in with Ronnie, who helps do that program over there. So when they talk about those things, I'm usually part of that.
And I'm just going to jump in there and add, now PV also has an FFA program, and so that is starting to grow, and I would not at all be surprised to see them also using the property to grow food.
Yeah. So we did it, and the kids were out, and they picked all the product for us and delivered it out to the courtyard, to our refrigerators, and back when we did, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. Get it all going and planted in the summer. Yeah, so on that, working with some local farmers, we signed up with a Spork Food Hub. They are California specific. They buy in quantity. They can get certain items that we use in quantities that we can use. So we're working with them to get delivery schedules started so we can get product coming in. And then one of the more exciting things that we've got going is reached out to Comanche Creek Farms, and they've expanded by 40 acres in the last couple of months, and they are, their downtime is our busy time. And so they have lots of acreage to be able to grow things that we want, specific things that we want. And so we're in process with working with Sean on, what would we like to grow and how much would we use? And we're getting him usage numbers like you see here, but on more specific items that we don't buy as much of. And he grows lots of different colors of things, which will be fantastic for us to take into the schools and show to the kids. And then they're also willing to come in and do little talks and stuff to the kids as well about the different colors of what they grow and where it came from. So we're in the process of that. Right now, the exciting thing with that is that we're going to start buying our lettuces from them. They're actually in the process of formulating. Spring mix has lots of different things in it. Arugula, it's kind of bitter. Kids don't really like it. So we're starting with just some colorful red oak and those things that kids will eat and getting our own blend of a spring mix, for a lack of a better way of saying it, that we will then turn around and replace the current lettuces that we're using right now. So then all of our lettuce will be local for the remainder of the year. All right.
On that note.
Yes.
Does the menu yet, or is it the goal to have the menu really reflect like current local growing season? So I know obviously like certain things are available at certain times of the year, and if you
Yes.
want to serve a particular item all year long, sometimes you're gonna have to source it from very far away because it's not the growing season.
Correct. So all of our produce stays during the growing seasons and is when it's in season, and we get it in and we use lots and lots of it, and then it goes out and then we're on to the next crop. And so that's what's going to be so exciting about working with Sean is this one's going to be ready, then this one's going to be ready, then this one's going to be ready, and we'll just use it and have it set up so it's ready when we need it as we've used our existing products.
I'm sorry, Vince, who's Sean?
Sean's the owner over at Comanche Creek Farm. Sorry.
All right. And they're located off Dayton Road, maybe? Where are they located at?
So, yep, Dayton Road, is that going, and then turn left, like right past the Smuckers? Yeah, and they go down, so long, about a mile down on the right-hand side.
Okay.
like a one
Smuckers,
lane.
that's on Midway.
Midway, I'm sorry,
So
so it's
Midway.
off of Midway. Next
Okay.
one past going to
Okay.
Durham on Midway,
All right.
off Midway.
Okay.
Yeah,
you.
they got, can't remember how many acres, but a lot, quite a few acres now.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing he's working on is they're going to do field trips. And so he's working on building a casita type thing to be able to do field trips where kids can come in and cut the stuff up and eat it and sample the stuff out at the farm. So, yeah.
Where does our rice come from?
Matt Tennis.
Oh, it's.
It does not, actually.
Listed
It's-
on the menu.
No, it actually comes, it's a commodity item. We get it through commodity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you explain better what that means for those of us who might not know?
Yeah, so the USDA has commodity products, so pork, chicken, canned beans, canned fruit, fresh fruit program they have as well. And we get a percentage of all the free meals that we serve as free money, for lack of a better way of saying it. We get about $350,000 every single year to spend. We spend it in the DOD fresh fruit program, and then we direct it to different purveyors that we have and get food from them, and one of those items is brown rice.
And so where does it come from?
Who knows?
Okay.
I'll email you, I'll find out, I'll go
Yeah,
look
no.
I'll go look on the bag and I'll tell you, but I really have
I
no
was
idea.
thinking about like
Yeah.
the.
We
you
have
know,
lots
local-
of rice
what we're
around
kind of
us.
like locally known for in terms of
Sure.
agriculture.
And of
I was
all
like,
those things, we've never had one approach us before about offering it to us.
Never
And
heard
I've never
from
reached out to
Matt
anybody to do
Tennis
it.
or Lumberg or.
No, never.
I mean, Lumberg has great snacks too.
Well,
I know. Well, shout
Are they
out to them.
compliant?
Well, shout out to those folks.
Um,
I know some people over there.
In fairness to a lot of local growers, they produce an item that would not be suitable in the form that it comes off the field, right? It has to go somewhere else first, like
Ah.
a mill, before it could be
Right.
delivered up to the school. So go talk to them. You get off my back, talk to them,
The mills,
Maybe you could do something about it.
It's possible.
You know those people better than I do. No, it's good information. I was really just curious
Yeah.
because that's one of our, big items in this county. And obviously so are nuts, but I don't think that that's something we would necessarily sell in schools because, or serve in schools because of allergies and
Yep.
things like that, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So next one, a return to getting back to scratch cooking. It's what every person in my department's wanted to do since we stopped doing as much as we've done. For whatever reason, they're not the ones at the school site. They're actually doing a lot of the scratch cooking, but they get better results. Our numbers started to grow at that time when we were doing it, started to really take off. So as I've been looking and trying to figure out the best way to get back to that is to do kind of a central kitchen bakery combination and get away from baking as many items as we're baking in the mornings and get to more production for lunch, entree items and cooking of meat and working with local folks to get meat so we can actually take different cuts of meat and bring them in and then cook them properly and get them broken down right. And
Doesn't the Chico State Farm have a meat program? Yeah.
they do. And so, as we talked about, getting back to that, some of the needs, I mean, the biggest needs in that is getting these positions kind of clarified, and so we're hiring the right folks for the right jobs. And so, in what I see and what the folks in my office see is the best for us would be to get a production chef, somebody that's in there that has banquet experience that can come in and break down some of these pieces of meat, cook things properly, get them the way that we want them, how we used to have them for the kids. Would have to have 4 extra cooks and a couple of folks to package and keep things clean along with the other folks. But that would be an ongoing cost of about $300,000. Wow. Were you going to say something? Oh,
I want to say something if
Oh.
no one else does. Really?
really what?
$300,000? Because you have to have the person who's kind of masterminding making things that can be sort of served out in bulk, right? You're talking about like preparing it on a large kind of banquet scale,
So I'm
right?
talking about taking large quantities of meat, 2,000 pounds of meat, cooking them down overnight, and then breaking
Yeah.
them down and then sending them out to the school sites so that they turn around.
How many meals? Sorry.
Yeah.
How many meals, what?
How many meals a day on average?
Do we do? 11,000 meals a day.
11,000 meals.
So,
That's cool.
so we'd be talking about like, just to brainstorm with you a little bit here, Vince. Let's imagine an entree, like a good school entree, like, you know, the kind of thing that maybe I would have had when I was in school, that I like this kind of stuff, but like, you know, somebody's going to have a bad experience somewhere and they're going to post a picture on social media, you know. I mean, you know, there's no way to predict how all this would turn out, but I still think it's a great idea, okay? And like a hamburger helper, sort of like a macaroni thing with a meat sauce or something, right? Would that be like the kind of thing maybe they would make?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we would get raw beef, ground
Yeah.
beef, we would cook it down,
Yeah.
and then what we would do with it, like we did in the past, is we would just put neutral seasonings in it, break it down into what would go to a recipe. So say you're going to make
Yeah.
ground beef tacos. There you go, it's 5 pounds, it makes
Yeah.
X amount. 5 pounds makes X amount in
Yeah.
another recipe. They get it, they have a recipe at the school site, add taco seasoning, this amount of taco seasoning to
Yeah.
it because you're making tacos.
Yeah.
This one would be add your sauce, add your cheese, you're putting it on as a whatever.
It's kind of like Blue Apron or Hello Fresh, except it's on a large, you know.
Very large
Instead of going to
scale.
a person's house, it's going to an entire school full of
Correct.
kids. I think this is a really great idea. And so you're saying that like $300,000 would be the price tag on being able to do that?
Right, so.
But for those,
Mm-hmm.
for those employees right there,
Yeah.
ongoing benefits, everything.
So I want to say that I think that is a great idea. And for what it's worth coming to me, I think that that's totally worth it. Because society has gotten so weird, okay? I mean, with the, you know, the Uncrustables PBJ sandwiches that we've discussed, you know? I mean, the bags of, you know, snack chips that have, you know, palm oil in them that are, you know, taking away wildlife habitat on the other side of the world. And I mean, just for all these reasons,
Absolutely.
you know, I think that as a very, very wonderful goal, and I would totally support it.
Well,
you
good, I
know?
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, we're probably scratch or speed scratch cooking. The speed scratch would be the sending the product out to the school site, and they're not actually cooking it from raw, but they're adding product to it and then making it. That's called
Yeah.
speed scratch cooking. We're at about 35%. Before the fire, we were at about 65% on breakfast and lunch. And that would get us back to 55 to 65%. There's certain things you can't do. We can't fry food at school, so you can't do orange chicken, buy it from the orange chicken people.
And the funding for this, Jacqueline Kruger, the funding for that would come from the same pot of money that we're taking to hire teachers and stuff like that? Yes or no?
No,
No.
actually, the Nutrition Services has a completely separate fund.
And I'll tell you all about it in
Oh,
just
all
a
right.
We'll get
second.
to it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
we get federal and state funding for the meals.
Okay.
I wanted to break this down because it's,
Yeah.
when you break the numbers down, it's incredible. $350,000 is not that much money, when you break it down especially. For 180 school days, that's $1,944 per school day. Not that much money. That's divided by those 7 positions, $277 per person per day. Really not that much money that you're scoping out here. 11,000 meals a day, that is 39 meals per dollar.
It's pretty
Pretty
good.
good budgeting,
Really?
if you
Is that
ask me.
accurate math that she just did? This
Thanks,
person-
Jacqueline.
This person,
I mean, 300,000 on the surface sounds like a lot, but when you look it up, you're talking about 7 staff members. And even if you round up to about 350, Vince and I talked about this, because a production chef would be on the higher end of a salary schedule to be able to manage all of these meals every day. But in the grand scheme of things, I will say Vince does an amazing job with keeping food costs and labor costs down to be able to stay within the reimbursement that we get from the federal and state governments.
I mean, my question is it enough? I mean, besides the budget constraints, obviously, like, is that enough to do 11,000 meals a day?
So they wouldn't be doing the 11,000 meals. They would be doing parts of the 11,000 meals. And like I said, we have big giant ovens that you put 1,000 pounds on, and it rotates overnight, and it cooks anything in it, slow cook, and then you shred it in the morning, and then that product then goes to the school sites, and then the school sites turn it into 11,000 meals. So on a day-to-day basis, they would be doing 55 to 65% of that 11,000 meals would be coming out of there in some form or fashion, headed to the school sites.
That's amazing.
I mean, 350,000 over 7 positions comes out to, $50,000 on average. I'm sure the production chef gets more, and the prep
Sure.
and dishwasher are probably going to be
Correct.
part-timer. So it's, I mean, it's a reasonable amount of money for
Yeah.
that work. So do you have a plan to, I know you're about to get there, but we have a plan for finding this money, or?
Yes. We'll get there right now. Let's go there right now.
come on, Vince, come on, we want
I
to hear all about it.
know, right? So, the business plan that I've always used, keep food costs between 33 and 41%. This year will be the highest that we're projected to be the highest that we've been since I've been here. Usually we're down 34, 35%. Keep labor costs under 50%. Try to put 5% back into equipment and making sure that we have, if something breaks, I believe that my folks need to have the tools that they need to do the job. If it's broke, if it costs too much money, let's get a new one. And they have the tools that they need to do what they need to do. And then the rest goes into reserves where we are required to have 3 months operating costs per CDE and USDA. So an interesting thing, Nutrition Services is the only department that has to create their own revenue and support themselves, so we are kind of our own business. And I just wanted to do a quick comparison just so you get a grasp of how difficult it is to do the job that we do every day with the amount of money that we get. An average price of a public meal is $4.75. That's the reimbursement that we receive. We do about 2 million meals, 9,500,000. My buddy does the same thing, but at a university. He helped me get a bunch of numbers. And for one swipe on the meal plans, $9.32 for 2 million meals, which they don't serve anyways, but they would be $18 million, double what we do, but they have half the labor that we have in order to be able to do that. And so as we go to the next page, it'll show you the average cost of what we do. A breakfast average cost from spork, container, everything they get is $1.80. Lunch, the cost of the food's $2.30, $2.05. Labor cost is fortunate and unfortunate. It's not a controllable cost for me. It's a fixed cost. Can't send people home if there's nothing going on. So that is a fixed cost.
Can you go back?
Oh, did I end it? Oh, somebody went back. Thank you, whoever went back.
So that brings the total price to $4.32 for the whole kit and caboodle per meal here?
Yep. And it leaves us about 43 cents per meal profit. And so previous to Jacqueline, Kevin, we had gotten a raise, and he did, like, how's this going to affect the program? I think it was an impact of like $118,000 on the program. And I said, at that time, we made $1 a meal. And I told him, we have to do 118,000 more meals to pay for that raise that we just got. And I said, we'll be lucky to increase by 18,000 meals this year, let alone 180,000. That was way back in the day. And since then, we do increase by 180,000. Breakfast, lunches, consistently in the last 5-6 years.
Can you say everything that you just said over the last 45 seconds differently? Because I didn't get what you said. Basically, you were talking to Kevin?
Kevin
Boltema.
Yes, so we got a raise, and so.
We got a raise.
Yes, and so $1 a
From the
meal, $1 a meal from Kelly, $1 a meal. She was the nice one that gave us the raise. $1 a meal in order to pay, we had to do a new meal, and a meal, for every dollar, we had to produce a new meal. So we had to do an increase by 118,000 meals in order to pay for that raise.
Essentially, when our reimbursement from the federal and state government is fixed.
Yeah.
So when there are compensation agreements that increase the salary for our classified staff, then that squeezes that profit per meal. So in order to be able to have money to put back into the program to fix ovens and freezers, as well as to maintain the reserve that the state requires, we have to increase the volume or the number of meals. That's essentially what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying. And
And you have to have a quote buyer, unquote, who wants it in order to increase the number of meals.
That is correct. That's our students.
That's a
Yep.
student.
You have to have a student per student. And so now we get 43 cents a meal. And in order to do 50,000 meals, we'd have to do $50,000 raise. We'd have to do 116,000 meals in order to pay for that.
What,
There's a demand. The way it's being characterized, it's almost like we just decided that we were going to do this many more meals. I thought that the demand was there whether we decided to generate those more meals or not.
No,
I'm imagining a line of people standing there wanting a meal, right?
correct.
And
we have
just
to go out
because
and
you
go
negotiate or we got a raise, that doesn't make the line longer.
get longer. No, we have to go out and go and recruit people and get more folks to come in and eat
And eat.
yeah.
Higher quality, more attractive meals.
And we're achieving that goal?
We are achieving that
Okay.
goal.
Thank you. I understand now.
Yeah.
what's
It's
what's
just-
the lag time in that? Like, if suddenly we had a surge in the need for more meals to be served for whatever reason, obviously, we would need more personnel in order to do that, right?
Depends on the amount. So give me an example on how many more meals. Yours is going to be different than mine.
I don't want to say.
On a daily
I don't
daily
want to say an
basis.
extreme thing out loud.
But
Let's
just say on a daily basis.
Another 1,000 meals.
Nothing.
Nothing, okay.
Wouldn't be anything.
The name of the game is bulk, right? I mean, if you can do it in bulk volume, you
Yep.
have the same number of people.
Yeah.
Instead of using a pot this big, you
Yeah.
use a
So,
cauldron this big.
I always tell people, when I was a chef, it was just as easy to cook for 30 people as it was to cook 200 people, because you're just doing the same thing.
Right.
It's all the same stuff, just a
Yes.
little bit more.
It's the idea behind meal prepping too,
Yeah.
which I wish I was better about.
Yeah.
So on this same topic.
We would be to answer your question, 2,500 meals, we would be adding 15 minutes to school sites to people to get them through. We would be having conversations at some of the schools about extending lunch period times, because we wouldn't be able to get some kids through at that point. But
Right.
those are good conversations to
Let's
have,
say
right?
suddenly, for some reason, we needed to serve a lot more meals at the high schools. then at what point would there be like a squeeze of reimbursement? You know, the lag time between like, oh, now we've upped our number of sales of meals, but we have had this personnel cost increase suddenly, because it happens now. You know, is that why there's the 3-month kind of reserve, and you would dip into that until that starts to catch up with you?
Right.
Yeah, because
And
there's naturally a lag from when the month ends, then we have.
I think it's 6 weeks until we get the
Yeah,
checks.
60 days, I think, or 30 days to get it into the state reporting system. Then by the time they process it and get us a check, you're probably 6 to 8 weeks out.
Yeah.
That answers my question.
Yeah.
Cool. Sorry, I had a follow-on question to that,
Yeah.
unless you wanted to. So I don't know if this was said in certain terms at the beginning of your presentation, but do we have the numbers that are like the rate of students that are utilizing the school's meal services versus not? So like, I'm sure at the elementary schools and the middle schools, it's much higher. At the high schools, it's probably lower. Do we have those numbers
So
broken down?
it used to be, are you talking demographics, like free, reduced, and paid meals? Or are you talking, we
Just
served this
whatever-
many hamburgers, this many,
Just whatever feeds into that meals served, that feeds back into the, or level, you know, elementary, secondary, elementary, middle school, high
oh,
school.
I have that, yes, I can get you that, and I can
So I guess my
send it to
question is like, at the elementary school, is it roughly 60% of students who on average
Depends on the
get
school.
school meals?
Depends on the school.
Depends on the school.
100%.
Right, so I'm just saying elementary average, not by school site. I'm not asking you to answer that right now. I'm just curious if that exists, and I would be interested to see the
Mm-hmm. Yes,
breakdown
I will email that
from
to you.
elementary, middle school, and high school. I'd
Yeah,
be
I
interested
can
to see
run a
that
report
breakdown.
and get that out for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Okay, thank you.
I was just going to comment, I mean, it seems like with the shift in, for most students, or for all students now, meals being covered, free, no charge to them. I mean, we're seeing like a continue, like increase in number, but I feel like there must be a ceiling point with this where you're not going to see continued growth because perhaps everybody is already, who would utilize the lunches as maybe already utilizing them. So how would we continue to see like continued growth, if that makes sense?
Right, yeah, absolutely. So I'll just give you an example of when we really went full force and started doing mass scratch cooking, and you go back and you look at the numbers, our numbers started to take off. And we've had a lull, so a lot of our kids haven't even seen scratch cooking because it's been since the fire, and now we're in 2014, so a lot of kids don't even have no recollection, or were never even around for that. So I would imagine we'll have that same surge again. Yes, we don't have X amount more students at the school, but we do have room for, Chico High does 700 lunches, and we've got 2,000 students. One of the things that we've been working on is trying to get to the off-campus points, because food is free, and allow them to grab their food and walk down the street and hopefully not throw it in the street and do those kinds of things, and I'll deal with that when that time comes, but to be able to capture them as they're going off campus and still capture that meal. So we've been working on some plans to try to make that happen.
I guess we could just close the high school campuses and then capture all that market share. We'd really make
Just
a lot of
saying.
money, right? Isn't that a good idea?
Just saying.
You know? How does supper snack factor into this discussion?
As far as like what?
Like supper snack, is this school's out and
Yep.
then kids line up to get a meal, basically, right? That's not a lunch, that's not a breakfast, what is that?
It's different every day, and it's very much a lunch at this point in time.
Oh, you're classifying that?
It's a second lunch. I mean, it's one of our entrees that we have from the lunch menu. It's not the same one from the day. It's not the same one that they're going to see for the week. It's a different item that they would have, but it is, pretty much just like a lunch. I mean, they're getting the same components, milk and fruit and vegetables and then the entree.
So at an average elementary school, what percentage of the kids are getting lunch at lunchtime? And then just a preview, I'm going to ask you what percentage are probably getting supper snack, because I'm curious.
So the supper snack part is only the students that are in the after-school program. So it's not open to everybody.
All right.
Yeah. So you can't really compare.
Yes, apples and oranges.
Yeah.
so
Does
to
that
speak.
count into the meal count?
Yes, in the supper category.
In
But
the
it's
what?
its own separate category because it's a separate funding
Yes.
mechanism from the state with its own rules and regulations on when you can serve it, the time, the nutritional value, et cetera.
Does it have a similar 43-cent profit margin also?
No.
Or is it completely different and everything's handled different on that?
No, it just depends on, it's all factored into that 43-cent profit margin. So supper has a different reimbursement than lunch and
So when everything's
breakfast.
taken
into consideration,
account, that's
yes.
the number you end up with? Got it, okay,
Yep.
cool, thanks. Can staff purchase meals?
They get a meal for,
Staff.
my staff or just anybody in Chico Unified?
Anybody in
Yes,
Chico
they
Unified.
absolutely can. Yeah, everybody has an account.
They have to pay for it, though?
They do, yes.
Can I get a meal?
You have an account, yeah?
How much does it cost? for
Oh,
for
gosh, I
staff?
think they're $5 now for a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
They charge you more because you can afford it.
Please. I like the idea these days of easy meals because meal
Yeah.
planning is so hard when you have a 4-year-old.
Yeah, there you go. And so the plan for the scratch cooking is we're really working super hard right now, and I'd really like to have the kitchen ready to accept people coming into it and start working in August. We have the space, we have the energy in there that's ready to go. It's just a matter of getting the pieces of equipment that we want in there and having it ready to go when we're ready to hire.
Madam President, I have a little teeny bit of a segue. It could be related to this, but it's a little bit of a segue. It relates to the food services that I want to ask a question of him.
I think we can always circle back. I have a list of
Yeah.
questions eventually to get to you also, but yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed as long as Vince
Okay.
is not opposed.
No, I'm not opposed. I'm done with that. So now we're just question time.
I was traveling the past few days. I had intended to send you guys a message letting you know that I was going to be bringing this up, but I was kind of traveling and wasn't able to get to it. So my apologies for surprising you with any of this. But the share table, is this a matter of official policy? Is it official that there's a share table, or is it just something that's organic, that's just kind of taking shape?
So it is through the CDE. They do ask that you have a share table so that the food doesn't go into the trash.
I've had one constituent in particular come to me very frustrated that their child is stockpiling the less nutritional items that wind up on the share table.
Sure.
This tends to be processed foods like bags of chips and things like
Sure.
that. This is my segue. This is my connection to what he was already talking about.
I have a question on my list that actually lines up really well with what you're bringing up.
So, and that resonates in my family actually as well. We don't like our kids raiding the share table, for processed foods. We make their lunch, and send it with them and stuff like that. And I understand that, a lot of families don't do that or can't do that.
Sure.
So we, and then this other constituent, but would just kind of prefer that the share table not be there. In the grand discussion of what is the right policy for Chico Unified, it's hard for me to imagine, us all coming to the conclusion that a share table is a bad thing.
Sure.
Certain items, though, it doesn't, there's, obesity is a consideration, and I mean, I don't know what the statistics are on obesity in Chico Unified. Does anyone? We have never focused in on that, You hear from time to time that obesity is a concern in America, You never heard that?
Yes, I have heard.
Yeah.
We were talking, it would be very difficult to weigh kids and mention kids.
Yeah.
There is data and there's an effort in the community in Butte County. There's a Butte County Food Collaborative that has been working on that for a couple of years, along with Center for Healthy Communities at Chico State. And there's data that's being gathered and things like that, but it's not something that we necessarily have here. And I haven't been part of that group for over a year now, or for almost a year now, so I don't know either. But there's data out there that is collected from, but that comes from our health,
Yeah.
our healthcare
So
community.
to circle back to that.
Let me finish
Okay, yeah.
crafting my question, then I'll give the conch to you, and you can finish, address it. The stuff that's prepackaged, right? So we're talking about having chefs and cooks prepare something on a bulk scale and distribute it to school sites, and kids like it, but with the the products, and here again, we're talking about the Lunchables, the bags of chips. I don't know which ones you are out there, but this stuff is designed by people wearing white lab coats. They're employed by corporations, and their
Sure.
job is to make something that's going to be, they call them like hyper palatable foods. They're made from oils that are manufactured in labs, that are specifically made to be appealing to kids. Corn syrup you get in there, and I'm assuming that you're paying attention to how much corn syrup is in those prepackaged foods. But still, if that share table accumulates those things, there might be a child who doesn't need it at all, but we're making it available to them. They're completely off the grid in terms of their parents can't regulate it, and there's not an adult there regulating it, but it's just like free access, and so that's bad.
So lots of the schools do have somebody that kind of monitors it, because you do have a lot of kids that will go and take them, and then sometimes they just take the orange and they'll walk by and roll it on the ground, just to go and roll it on the ground. So a lot of them do have somebody that sits there and they'll ask, are you going to eat it? Are you going to take it? Do you need all those? But it's not at every school site. It's not a requirement to have somebody there doing it, but I do know that there are people that do kind of limit. Clearly, not at all schools.
I appreciate you telling me that. My message to you and to everyone is, yeah, if we can do that, that would be great. I would like to put a limit on maybe if there's some way we could equip people to keep an eye on how much, quote, junk food. Maybe you would say we don't have any junk food that's going out. I don't know what your view on that is exactly, Vince. But just the prepackaged processed stuff, I would not go throwing a bunch of that stuff out on the share table, because just because it's going somewhere doesn't mean it's necessarily a good situation.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks.
My follow-on question that's related that I had is, this was a question that I wrote down really early on in your presentation. So I'm going to just read my notes and then kind of maybe hone in on what the actual question is. So my first question was, how confident are we that students are getting adequate and balanced nutritional intake each day because of the choice? So they could be choosing a muffin and then something else that's like more high sugar, high carbs, and then not really getting a balanced nutritional meal throughout their day at school, especially not knowing if or what quality meal they're getting in the evenings at home.
Right.
So if we think about the student who may not be eating at home, or who is only accessing something very simple like French fries for dinner,
Sure.
how do we know that that kid is getting their necessary nutritional intake while they're with us?
So they're required to take certain components in order to be able to walk away from us, and fruits and vegetables are part of that. What they do with them after that, that's the hard piece. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's tough. It's a challenge,
It
I'm
is.
sure.
So we do offer it, and that's just the bottom line, is we offer fresh fruits and vegetables and give them every opportunity to eat as much food as they really would like. And what they do when they walk away is, they can honestly just take the food and just throw it in the trash right after they leave our
Right.
table, and we can't do anything.
As we increase our scratch-made food capacity, I don't really have, I can't find nutrition labels for the meals that are prepared, so I don't know if that's somewhere where we could look up the actual nutrition values of the items that are listed on the menus. I
We
pulled up
have
the
them.
menus and, and I just haven't dug deep enough on the website. I'd imagine that they're accessible to the public. But, items that maybe are prepackaged that have additives, are processed, have, elevated sodium, fat, or sugar that we wouldn't necessarily want kiddos to, that's all that they're consuming throughout their time
Right.
with the school, rather than the fresh fruits and vegetables that
Sure.
are also being offered.
Sure. The state and the USDA regulates all of those things for us, so the things that we are offering may not be the best, but they are better than what you're getting at the grocery store, because they meet the nutrition guidelines that is set by the USDA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so as we build out the scratch-made foods, will that help take away some of those?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's
those
the goal, yeah.
items on the share table that Mr. Tennis is a
Yep.
little bit concerned about too?
Yep.
Like, it'll help kind of
Absolutely.
balance that out a little bit. So if we take some of those options off the table, it won't be on the share table anymore.
Correct. Take them off the menu, they won't be on the share table.
Yeah. Follow-up question about the menu. Where can I find photos of the school's meals?
Nowhere? On your phone?
I can't find any.
No, we don't take, I mean, yeah, I mean, we probably should just take a picture of each and every one of the ones that we serve and put it on there. We could do that. That's not
I'd love to
hard.
be able to click on the menu and see what it does it look like.
I like
when
that
there's-
idea.
There's,
I can make that
chicken
happen.
fries or whatnot.
I recommend you find somebody who has like a sort of, Instagram, like social media type experience, curating photos and do that. Like, seriously, that'd be a good move, because there's a lot of people around who have experience doing that
We might need
nowadays.
a media specialist for food services, y'all.
They have one in San Diego. San
Nice.
Diego Unified, they do. They've had them for like 5 years now.
So random. I'm Facebook friends with a board member of a local other school district, and they posted a photo of a school meal today. Really serendipitous that it was today. And I was scrolling and I saw it and I was like, oh, that's great. And then I was like, oh, that's not our school district.
That was David Loudermilk, who
Thanks
is
for
on
calling me out on
Durham. And I don't know if the lunch he posted, it was one he posted yesterday that was from wherever he works, which is in South Oroville,
He lives in- yeah, he lives in
Palermo or
Oroville,
something. I don't know.
yeah.
But then I think maybe he posted a Durham one today, and it looked quite good. So take notice, Vince, we're paying attention.
Okay,
I'm just saying it was noticed.
okay, good to know.
But yeah, where's some photos of meals? I wanna see what they look like. I mean,
Okay.
you listed what it sounds like.
We can do that.
The menus are online, but I wanna
That's
know
pretty
what my
easy.
kid's eating if I'm sending her to school
Yep.
next year. When I'm sending her to school next year, she's gonna be at LCC.
There you go.
Nutrition labels, photos of meals, ask that question. Similarly, long-term plan, would we be able to demarcate the scratch-made foods on the menu? So we could see which menu
Yeah.
items are scratch-made versus which ones, maybe come prepackaged? Not tomorrow, but just an idea. As a parent, that would be something that I think would be
Absolutely.
valuable to know. Great.
Yeah, those are all easy things.
I love giving you easy requests.
I like getting easy requests.
I feel like I've made enough requests, and I've had a lot of talking time, and I talk plenty, so I'm gonna say that's all my questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
anybody else?
I can definitely say that when I was an employee and you were in the scratch cooking mode, I loved lunch because everything was hot and tasty, and it only took a walk to the cafeteria and back. You didn't have to worry about it in the morning. It was just going to be there and
We
good.
will be back there
and-
soon. We'll be back there soon.
Yep.
That's all I got, unless you got anything else?
I don't.
Okay.
Is there nothing else you would like to say is there, sometimes with these, I like to add at the end, that if there are any needs or things that you could see bringing to us as, policy type things or things that we can do to make our program, help make our program better, just put it on, make sure it gets on all of our radar.
No, I
But
got
that's
nothing.
what we're here for.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
Yeah,
for
thank you.
the efforts
Yeah,
for
I appreciate it.
all of it. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. How are we doing? Everybody's good? We've been in the meeting for an hour and a half. Okay. Item 5 is discussion action calendar. Number 5.1.1 is educational services, public hearing / discussion / action. Approval of the California Department of Education, CDE, general waiver for Academy for Change, AFC Community Day School to allow 6th grade students to attend the program. I'm going to hand it over to Pedro Caldera. While Pedro's walking up here, one last note on nutrition services. The salad bar always looked fantastic at Marsh, so shout out to that as well.
How we doing? Just wanted to introduce this waiver. I've worked with the CDE, and I just want to make it very clear that this is a waiver of a pre-existing waiver and that we're just extending it. And so that's pretty much it.
So I gather, if I may, Madam President, that I mean, the waiver for what? If we didn't have a waiver, then we would be limited to fill in the blank.
You would have to separate the school settings completely. So what the waiver is allowing students to be on the same site in all grade levels. And so if you didn't have this waiver, then we would have to look at separating them completely on different school locations, if you will.
Sixth graders, yeah. We wouldn't be able to have sixth graders at AFC at the time. It was 7 through 12. So we have now, since sixth graders are at the junior high level, we've moved sixth graders to AFC a few years
Oh,
back.
okay. Because previously, sixth graders were at the grade school level.
Correct.
Are we finding any negative effects with sixth graders being able to go to Academy for Change? Like, I'm imagining a relatively, innocent sort of sixth grader type guy who gets shipped off to the Academy for Change. Now, all of a sudden, he's in the presence of, 11th and 12th graders who, maybe it could be a bad influence on him. Is that a reason to be concerned at all?
No.
They've been separated in a different part of the school, so the junior high, the 6th, 7th, 8th graders are different than where the high schools are.
Okay, that would be my only concern.
They're even separated within when they do lunches and also in the village, so, and they all have their separate supervisors, if you will.
Are they like the sixth graders are probably bundled in maybe also with the 7th and 8th, and then there's a break, or?
Yeah.
Kind of the same way it is sort of on the,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Doesn't look like we have any further questions, and we don't have public comment on this item, so I will ask for a motion. Oh,
Do we need to open a public hearing
oh, sorry. Yeah,
officially?
yeah.
Listed as a public hearing on
Thank you. I missed that. Okay, I open this as a public hearing. Good catch. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak to this item? Seeing none, I close the hearing. And with that.
That was really
may we
productive.
Please have a motion.
I move approval of this,
Thanks, Tom.
this waiver.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Tennis and a second by Ms. Honkin. Any further discussion, board? No? All right, last vote was unanimous, so all those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Nobody's opposed, so it passes unanimously. Thank you. We will move on to item 5, are we on 5? 5.2.1. Business services, this is a public hearing discussion action item, resolution number 1627-24 to approve the housing plan and use of pupils grants for new construction funding of a cafeteria and multi-use room at Pleasant Valley High School.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for your time tonight. Good news, the Office of Public School Construction is evaluating our new construction funding application for the Pleasant Valley High School multipurpose building. So we applied for minimum essential funding, basically saying that the old Valhalla building wasn't large enough to accommodate our student population, so we get a little extra bump on the funding for building a larger facility. Previous board already approved the use of the pupil grants for the application. However, OPSC is now requiring that we also come back to the board with this public hearing and a resolution for an increase in loading in the classrooms from the 9 through 12 grade levels across the district. The state utilizes a 27-to-1 ratio for their funding applications for all classes. And we typically load 9 through 12 classes at 35-to-1 and sometimes as high as 38-to-1. So this is really something that's already, we're exceeding this in practice and have been for many, many years. So this is in some ways a formality for the funding application. I'll open it up to any questions you might have. Okay, if there are no questions, then we need to open the public hearing. Thank you.
Seeing no further technical questions from the board, I open the public hearing. Do we have public comment on this item? Seeing none, I will close the hearing. And with that, do we have a motion?
Sure. I'll move adoption of resolution 162724.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Lando and a second by Mr. Tennis. Any further discussion by the board? All righty, all those in favor? Aye. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
I will sign that at the end. Next up, we're on 5.2.3, Human Resources Discussion Action Resolution 1629-24, Release and Non-Reelection of Temporary, including Probationary Zero Certificated Employees.
Thank you, President Dalby. So this is a resolution similar to the one you passed in January. My outstanding staff member, Sharon Fields, found 4 more staff members. We wanted to be sure we process these correctly. Just want to remind the board, as we did last time, that all of these folks will be included in the applicant and interview pool as we go through the hiring process. Because they're temporary or grant-funded, probationary zero, we need to go through this process. So my recommendation is for approval of these 4 employees.
I'm seeing no questions for clarification, and we do not have public comment at this time. I will call for a motion.
I'll move approval.
Motion?
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Tennis and a second by Ms. Robinson. Any further discussion, board? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous, it passes. And moving on to the board. Item 5.4.1 is a discussion action item, resolution 1628-24, resolution on board compensation for missed meetings.
So as we're aware, the board members receive a small stipend for attending board meetings. There are reasons that board members miss that can be excused and they can still receive their stipend. And this is a resolution in order to allow Ms. Robinson, who did come to, but then was not able to attend the last board meeting.
Great.
I got a question. Could she have kind of patched herself up a little bit and kind of pulled it together, or was that really, I mean, I wasn't there,
She tried, and
Okay,
we said,
all right.
No surprise there.
Yeah.
I don't think we have further questions of clarification, and clearly there would be no public comment on this. I don't think appropriately, but if anybody wanted to say something legally, you're allowed to. But with that, I think that it's appropriate that Ms. Robinson doesn't actually vote on this item, right? So you'll recuse yourself from the vote. And with that, I move approval.
Just to clarify, is this for the one particular episode, not
Yes.
as a general
Yep.
rule?
Yep.
Okay.
It's for remaining in the parking lot.
I just meant, is this for all
Yeah,
situations
it's-
moving forward, or
No,
just this one particular?
And
Okay.
we do have the authority to make that decision on a case-by-case basis each
Every
time.
time somebody misses a meeting, they can bring forth something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can do it on behalf of each other as well, or any particular staff person could recommend that it gets put on the agenda for that to take place. But yeah, it is under our jurisdiction to decide. So, with that, is there a second?
I second.
Oh, you do?
Oh,
Oh, I thought, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Nope.
where are we at? in
Yep,
this?
we're seconding.
Okay, sure,
Okay.
yeah, I do.
So Dalby made the motion, and it was seconded by Conkin. No further discussion, and we're going to do
I just want to say I'm glad you're okay.
yeah, me too.
That's my discussion.
Thank you.
Glad you made it this time.
Yeah.
And thanks to Phil, who
Oh, yeah. Shout out. Shout out to Phil. And Pedro, and the quick response time on that, yeah. Great. So with that, we will do a roll call vote because it's not all of us voting. So I'll start. Dalby, aye.
Landau,
Tennis, aye.
Conkin, aye.
Okay. And Robinson abstains. So it's 4 yeses, no noes, 0 noes, and 1 abstain. Fantastic. 5.4.2 is a discussion action item, approval of revised, updated new board policies.
Yes, this is an item that we brought forward at the last board meeting, and we are bringing back for a final reading and approval.
Oh, sorry.
Well, go ahead, please. Did you want to, sorry, ask questions for clarification kind of thing?
No, I want to comment. I think based on our conversation at the last meeting, this is sort of takes the onus of deciding whether a visitor should be allowed on campus or not, away from the principal by establishing sort of more sort of top-down protocol.
Correct.
And that sort of, yeah, the relationship between a family and a teacher and a family and a principal can get pretty personal, you know, and intimate, and not necessarily in a good way. And so I think it's a good kind of safety precaution for staff to sort of take that responsibility off the shoulders of the staff of the local school site.
And we felt so as well. Ed Services was in the middle of a couple of ones and just said this is much better decided at a different location.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
All right. Seeing no further questions and no public comment, do we have a motion?
I'll move approval.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Tennis and a second by Mr. Lando. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we will do a voice vote again. We'll start with Ms. Robinson this time.
Robinson, aye.
Lando, aye.
Tennis, aye.
Conkin, aye.
Dalby, aye. It passes unanimously. Item 5.4.3 is a discussion action item, draft letter to state leaders regarding student discipline. And I will turn it over to whoever wants to take the mic on this one.
Sure, I'll just explain the process that we went through. There was a committee designated by the board that was Mr. Lando and Ms. Conkin to look at a draft letter that had been provided at last month's meeting. We did get input into that letter, some changes. You'll see in your packet the original letter. Then you'll see the letter that had the changes that were submitted by board members. Those are the red line copy. And that red line copy, then there is a clear final copy, should the board decide to go there, that we would submit to our state leaders. So I will, since this was a letter from the board, I will leave it up to the board for discussion about whether or not they like the changes that were made. If there's additional changes you want to make.
I approve of the changes made, and I personally like the clean copy number 3. I think it is ready to go, and I hope that we can come to an agreement on all of this.
So are there any questions for clarification on the process or the purpose or background? Or does every board member kind of know where we're at in the whole scheme of things?
Just a comment that I too was quite happy with what the end product was. And I know I had some concerns, and this is worded so that my concerns aren't at a level that would keep me from not signing on to this.
Do we have any public comment? Okay. I'm going to open it for a motion. For example, a motion to approve the final revised draft, so number 3 that's attached. Maybe I'll just make the motion. I move to approve the final draft as it is published in the agenda as attachment number 3.
I'll second your motion.
Thank you. And now we can say all the rest of the things that we want, or make any other alterations to this draft if we want to change any wording or anything like that at this time. Okay, seeing none, why don't we just go right on ahead and move to our voting. Last vote was unanimous, yes?
Just for clarification, so the motion is to approve and sign and send the final draft copy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is that all well and clear? Okay, thank you. Sometimes you gotta check the real official minute taker. Fantastic. Let's do a voice vote again, just for consistency on resolutions. Well, I guess not really a resolution, but you know what I mean. And we'll start with Mr. Lando.
Start with who?
Mr. Lando, sorry.
Lando, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Dalby, aye. You went backwards.
Congan, aye.
Tennis eye.
Fantastic. It passes unanimously, so we will have this officially drafted up on letterhead, and will we all sign, or do we all want to sign it? Wet ink, or how do you want to?
Our usual practice is that when we do something like this, that we all sign.
So we'll do an all signature and.
I would avoid doing wet ink because I would hope that we would send this to anybody who would want to listen to it, you know? And I have in mind the people who planned those student discipline working group seminars at the CSBA conference that were so just one-sided, you know? There was none of this was presented there. It was like, you know, I don't want to go all into it, but basically, there's a lot of people who might benefit from seeing this.
I'm sorry, I do mean like that we all sign it ourselves and then we can take an electronic copy of
Yeah,
our
I
signature,
think that'd be great.
signed copy. And on that note too, I intend to send it to any advocacy and individual contacts that are in the policymaking realm. I don't know what the word is right now that I'm looking for. For some reason, it's not coming to me. But I plan to reach out to folks that I might be connected with too. Sorry?
Let's brainstorm.
Yeah. No, I don't mind at all.
I would make sure that we send it to the State Education Committee of the legislature, because that's where education code legislation goes through that committee.
I agree, and I'm sure that will be sent, and the district will send to who we normally send to, but some of us, or all of us, may have contacts that we are directly in touch
Sure.
with, that we may want to have an individual conversation in real life with them, with the letter, and say, this is a concern that we would like to see you advocate for. And so, you know, we start to have a collective voice if we're feeling strongly enough about it.
And we can make sure you all have copies that you can then send to who you individually feel it's important to send to.
Might be worth like circling back, and I mean, I'm sure many of the teachers and administrators will be already familiar, but with the committee that met to talk about discipline issues, just to let them know that they're heard and we had a response to that.
Great. Thank you. All right, I think we're prepared to move on. And number 6, board member request to agendize item. At this time, no board members submitted a request to add an item to a future agenda. And so with that, we will move into closed session. Is there any public comment on our closed session items? I don't have any on my list. For our folks who are here? No? Okay. And with that, we will now go into closed session. I will come back and announce any action taken during closed session and adjourn the meeting at that time. All right? Thank you.